Here what you see is a long splice, 16 inches long, and the reason is I don't have length for lumber, so I could have used a 12-footer, but basically, well, actually shy of a 12-footer, but you can't, anything over 10, you don't get 10-footers. So I could have gotten this out of a longer board, but since I didn't have it, I made a splice, and I'll just show you what I do over here. So that's where I've cut it off the shorter piece that I'm about to add. And basically I have this jig made with door skin that I can screw on. So all I do is overlay the square pieces, overlay them, mark the corners, and then you just do a diagonal and stay to the one side of the line from corner to corner. And then you get a nice splice cut, actually. And it's near perfection. You just put glue in that and it'll come together nice. And yeah, so this jig, basically I've also added a piece of door skin to the bottom of the battery powered skill saw, and that then rides along there very nicely, guided. And I kept this wider and cut it with the skill saw, so it's exactly to where the blade is, so it's easy to follow. And then when that comes off, like I say, you get a nice splice here. And I used a strap and a bit of a Spanish windlass to glue it together, and I've got glue squeezing out of the seams nicely. So that's going to work well. So if you don't have wood long enough, you can put your stuff together yourself and make wood that's long enough. That's how I do things if I have to. Okay, there's the next splice put together. You can see the glue squeezed out quite nicely. I already cleaned up some with some sawdust and used it to fill a hole somewhere on the backside. And I don't know if you see it. Yeah. What I do is I just tag the ends with a nail, and it doesn't matter. I'll be punching that deep in if I'm coming to plane or anything here. I punch each end of the splice. There'll be another one in roughly about there, just so it doesn't slip as you're trying to clamp. And it's important, if you do the rope, that you put a lot of tension on it each time, but by doubling back over it, you lock them in. And then just sort of a hitch here to keep the rope, that'll keep the tension on there until it dries. So there's how I do a splice. And I mentioned the important part is, frankly, this jig has to be pretty accurate, but it's not hard to make an accurate jig. You just need a straight edge. That's the same one I use for the panel cutting. Same idea is what I use for the panel cutting, and that has worked out really good. I don't have to lift these larger panels up to the table saw, which is really nice. So at any rate, yeah, there's number 2, made nice and long. And maybe number 1's dry enough that I can undo it. But I think I'll leave it. I like to leave these things 24 hours, and then you know for sure it's cured. Yeah, so that's a splice. There you go.